It's been said that behind every great man is a great woman. This old phrase is nearly Nietzschean. Yes, today I'll discuss Nietzschean poetry on women. But before anyone jumps to conclusions wondering, what could a man, especially Nietzsche, know about women? Let's be clear. I'm not claiming to discuss what Nietzsche knew about women, but rather exploring what he wrote about them. Why do something like this at all? Well, men and women must think about each other to navigate a world where both coexist. And because we can't swap minds with the opposite sex, and certainly we can't swap enough minds for a representative sample, like Nietzsche, we are all relegated to some level of speculation. With this in mind, today's episode incorporates analysis from scholars to help us more cordially navigate this oft-contentious topic. Let's begin from a foundational point. Nietzsche revered women. Quote, "In woman, the future generation dreams. Woman is more closely related to nature than man, and in all her essentials she remains ever herself. Where the whim or the passion of any man carries along with itself whole tribes, then woman suddenly comes forward as the warning prophetess." End quote. Nietzsche seems to have viewed women as deeply connected to nature, serving as guardians of cultural values and as forces of nature themselves. In his view, truly strong women are often unaffected by the superficial layers of cultural change that entice most men into adventures of a certain type, for a certain type of glory. Here, we must note that some feminists have long criticized linking women with nature as a demeaning tactic. Yet, other feminist thinkers argue that women's closeness to nature positions them as better environmental stewards and leaders compared to men. This dichotomy presents a complex dilemma within feminist discourse, one I don't intend to solve here. Instead, I will leave the virtues and vices of this association to your interpretation, my dear viewer. Now, Nietzsche's take on women wasn't just high praise. Take, for example, his poetic couplet, "Man and woman. Rob for yourself, she for whom your hearts feel. So thinks men. Women do not rob, but steal." This poem explores how men and women achieve their desires, suggesting men rob while women steal. Both words imply the acquisition of desires unethically, per conventional ethics, while offering insights into different approaches to power. To rob symbolizes hard power, direct and forceful, while to steal represents soft power, subtle and strategic. To further explore this idea, let's turn to Francis Nesbitt Oppel's insightful analysis that states, quote, "Nietzsche acknowledges the presence of an undeniable feminine power in Greek myth and religion, absent in the present day. Women in classical Athens had no public or hard power, yet the Greeks stood in reverence or awe and fear of the oracular wisdom of women. The Greeks respected the mysteries. Their goddesses were powerful. Their protection was solicited and their propitiation offered as part of everyday life." End quote. And importantly, quote, "Nature is will, let us remember. Will is a mother." End quote. This indicates that Nietzsche may have recognized feminine soft power as a major driving force behind society's hard power actions. Abundant historical figures exemplify this: Catherine de' Medici in France, Joanna of Naples, Catherine the Great in Russia, etc., etc. They and many others wielded soft power so effectively that their legacy often overshadows that of their male counterparts, vividly illustrating Nietzsche's concept of the enduring and influential nature of feminine soft power. Now let us turn to another one of his poems exploring this interplay, titled, "Lost His Head." She now has wit. What led her to this find? A man, who 'cause of her just lost his mind. His head was rich before this diversion. Now it's with the devil. No, with the woman. Here is a humorous suggestion that a woman's gain in wit correlates with a man's loss of sense, offering a commentary on the intellectual and emotional power exchange within relationships. This satirical take leads us to another provocative aspect of Nietzsche's thought, the controversial use of the whip in his works. You might be wondering, what does a whip have to do with a man losing his mind and a woman gaining wit? Well, the answer begins with a contentious line from Nietzsche's Thus Spake Zarathustra, where a woman advises, quote, "You go to women, do not forget the whip," end quote. This statement raises questions, particularly among women. Why should a man bring a whip to meet with women? Is this whip a symbol of domination, or does it signify something else? At this point, I turn to Adrian Del Caro's scholarship that suggests Nietzsche's intention was not for men to use the whip on women, but to metaphorically give women their whip back, symbolizing a restoration of feminine power or agency, likely robbed from them by overbearing men. Del Caro suggests, quote, "This woman who advises Zarathustra to bring a whip when he visits women is woman in all her strength and glory, inclusive of the young and seductive, as well as the old and wise years," end quote. She is a comprehensive symbol of feminine power. Further, Del Caro links Nietzsche's imagery to a classical motif, Phyllis riding Aristotle, a representation of female dominance over male wisdom. Del Caro explains, quote, "For more than 1,000 years, the image of the woman riding on the back of the wise man persisted. The woman retains her whip across various representations. Her power remains symbolized in the whip," end quote. In Nietzsche's view, then, the whip may be a symbol of feminine authority, a power he believed should be reclaimed by women. Why would Nietzsche advocate for this? Well, as suggested in our second poem, men's loss of sense could be an integral part of women's soft power. Nietzsche saw the will of nature as inherently feminine. If nature is to act through men, Nietzsche posited, great men must somehow end up serving the soft power of great women. In the end, we can only surmise. But I wonder, is this influence of the great woman on the great man what Nietzsche meant when he wrote another controversial line in Zarathustra? Quote, "The happiness of man is I will. The happiness of woman is he will," end quote. So, could the controversies in Nietzsche's views on women be rooted in a misunderstanding of his core idea that the influence of great women is integral to the will and actions of great men? Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this video, then shatter, oh my brethren, the like button, and tatter the maxims of the world maligners in the comment section below.